Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be reading a short article and watching a video on Forbes on how they are saying that the United States is headed for an all-out war with China. So let's see what they have to say here. A war with China would be a catastrophe, yet as this segment of What's Ahead warns, which we're going to watch now. Ta-da!
Are we headed for an unintended war with China? Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. A war with China would be a catastrophe, perhaps leading to the use of nuclear weapons. Such a conflict could well involve cyber weapons that could jeopardize the safety of satellites on which we are now so dependent.
So this is something that Russia and China understand, which they've specialized in the type of equipment, the type of technology, the type of research, the type of scientific advances that would actually give them a competitive edge against America. Because America has so many enemies and so many different theaters of war, they really haven't had the opportunity to specialize. And to be completely honest, the type of government, the type of economy they have, they don't really specialize. They really do whatever makes the most profit immediately. And so they don't have the long-term thinking in order to focus on the types of technology that would make them competitive in terms of great power competition against, say, Russia or China. And so Russia and China, despite being behind, despite not having as much money to make advances in various technologies, they've figured out how to specialize in the technologies that would give them a competitive edge.
At the functioning of our electrical grid and our water systems. Yet China's strongman Xi Jinping continues provocative acts that could lead to unwanted hostilities.
So this is obviously, it's from Forbes, so it's a ridiculous propaganda piece. Saying that Xi Jinping is the one that's fomenting hostilities is ridiculous. The United States regularly sends military vessels off the coast of China. They regularly antagonize China. They've gone into China because Taiwan is considered to be a part of China, and America agrees that there is a one-child China policy, and they understand that it is the Communist Party of China that is in charge of all of China, so the government in charge of mainland China instead of the government in charge of Taiwan right now. And so when the United States goes to Taiwan without approval of the mainland Chinese government, they are entering mainland China's territory as agreed upon by the United States and as agreed upon by the majority of countries of the world. And they're doing that without approval, without permission from China. And so very hostile actions from the West. And if anyone knows anything about the West's current stance about the one China policy, I keep getting the China's one child policy mixed up there, but the one China policy, then they know that the United States is clearly in the wrong here, is clearly the belligerent. They are clearly surrounding China in every way, shape, or form. And so calling China the belligerent here, it's just ridiculous if you know anything about the current situation.
A few weeks ago, Beijing released a new map of the waters and territories it claims as its own. This document, dubbed the -10 line, is the most aggressive one yet.
Okay, so again, if you know nothing about the conflict, you're going to just assume this person is telling the truth. But actually, there's a 11- line that Taiwan claims. And so these two countries that consider themselves to be one country and the rest of the world considers them to be one country, and they're just disagreeing about which government should be in charge of this one country. Taiwan actually has a more aggressive claim to territorial waters than mainland China does. So just ridiculous to say that this is a overly aggressive move by China, because Taiwan's move is even more aggressive with their, I believe it's the 11- line. So they have more territory they claim.
As in previous such exercises, China says most of the South China Sea, a critical international waterway, belongs to it, and of course Taiwan. But it expanded what it thinks is theirs in the South China Sea. It laid claims to pieces of territory belonging to Russia, of all countries. It heated up its border disputes with India by asserting claims to 2 new areas. It put forth potential demands on Japanese territory. China's neighbors were rightly shocked.
So all of these countries have various territorial waters that they claim, and most of them conflict with each other. And so saying that the countries are shocked at China is just kind of ridiculous because everyone has disputed claims across the South China Sea. And so if you understand nothing about the current situation in the South China Sea, this would sound very persuasive. But if you understand even a slight amount, you understand that this person is a part of the propaganda apparatus and they're just essentially lying to you. Some of it's a live omission and some of it's just a commission, an outright lie.
It's not just maps that are worrisome here. China's overtly aggressive actions in this region continue. It has brazenly employed floating barriers to block Filipino fishing vessels. It has used
So, from what I understand of that, there was like a storm, and China had to remove some of its boats and things like that from a certain area many decades ago. And when they came back after the storm was done, the Philippines moved in, and so it's. I mean, obviously, this is, again, just another one of those areas, one of those very minor disputes over international water that's occurring all across the South China Sea. It's not just between Philippines and China. It's between Philippines and Taiwan, Philippines and probably like Malaysia, China and Malaysia. I mean, all these countries in the just area of the South China Sea, the conflicts with Indonesia over territorial waters, all these countries have disputed claims. So there's nothing really egregious about what China is doing here. But again, you have to understand even a slight amount to understand that this is a ridiculous claim here.
blinding lasers against civilian vessels in disputed waters. It has rammed and sunk civilian boats. Beijing has built and militarized man-made islands to control access and has seized atolls and tiny islands for the same purpose. China's Navy vessels patrol these waters aggressively. The South China Sea is...
Okay, so American vessels patrol the South China Sea aggressively. Think about that for a second. It's called the South China Sea. It's off the coast of China, and it is American vessels that are consistently there aggressively. So I'll say this over and over again. You have to understand a little bit about the region to understand what BS this guy is spewing right now.
Crucial strategically because 1/3 of the world's maritime shipping passes through it each year. The Philippines Coast Guard has just removed that barrier. China didn't immediately respond with a bellicose action when it learned international journalists were with the Filipinos, but it will probably do so later. The danger in all of this is obvious. Freedom of the seas has been a core U.S. principle for over 200 years.
See, just so absurd because you see article after article whenever Russia and China have some of their vessels close to Alaska, which is very close to Russia as well because Alaska is close to Russia. There's article after article about the hostile actions from China and Russia and how they're near America, blah, blah, blah. And so imagine their vessels being close to the east or west coast of America. Imagine how America would react. Well, that's what's happening to China on a daily basis or every other day basis. Like really on a very frequent schedule, the United States is just having warships pass by China's coast. And so it's just ridiculous. The types of things that the United States is claiming here and how they very clearly would not like this to occur if China had warships off the coast of say, close to New York City or something like that. It's just, it boggles the mind that people actually believe this type of propaganda. It truly does.
China is challenging that fundamental part of our security foundation. The safety and prosperity of the free world depends on maintaining it. U.S. past passivity in the face of China's militaristic, imperialistic actions has led Xi Jinping to conclude he can get away with this audaciously assertive approach. After all, his navy is expanding while ours is shrinking. Obviously, we're not going to attack those man-made islands. We don't have to. What must be done, though, is stepping up patrols in that region, including using some of our Coast Guard vessels. We can work with our allies in coordinating naval efforts here and let Beijing know, repeatedly, behind the scenes and in public, that we will not stand by if it uses militaristic means against civilian boats and waters illegally claimed by Beijing. Key to making sure Xi Jinping doesn't miscalculate our resolve would be a naval buildup of the scale we did 40 years ago under Ronald Reagan. Republican presidential candidates could make clear that this will happen.
So exactly what you expect. The Republicans are fomenting war against China. The Democrats are fomenting war against Russia. There's no anti-war candidates. Everyone supports Israel in the Judeo-Islamic War of 2023. They're happy with the genocide of Palestine. Just ridiculous things from all American leaders, all American politicians. You should not trust any of these people. It is a uniparty. They don't have your best interests in mind. They never have. It's the oligarchs in charge.
If they win next year. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening.
All right. What a loser this guy is. Steve Forbes guy. I would say they should fire him, but I mean, his name's on the website Forbes. So apparently that's not going to happen. But so hopefully that helped you understand exactly how propaganda works in the Western Empire, because this video was incredibly absurd. So let's just read the rest of what they say here. Yet as a segment of What's Ahead warns, China's strongman Xi Jinping. So even that is just like propaganda. China's strongman Xi Jinping. He's a leader in charge of the country. I mean, it's just ridiculous to call him a strongman there. Continues provocative acts that could lead to unwanted hostilities. Okay, again, this is the South China Sea. It's America that is there, and it's on the other side of the world for America. Xi's naval forces have been increasingly aggressive, inserting control over the South China Sea. Critical international sea lane. 1/3 of the world's maritime ships pass through here. Again, all these countries have territorial disputes over the international water there and the various areas of the South China Sea. Beijing's latest act of bullying was in placing a floating barrier near the Scarborough Shoal, an area of intermittent flare-ups over sovereignty, to block Filipino fishing boats from fishing in what they claim as Filipino territory in international waters, but China claims as its own. Okay, so again, you can have disagreements about these small territories. It's not a big deal. If I understand correctly, Philippines sunk a ship in order to lay claims to certain areas out there. So it happens all the time. Various countries do it. It's not just China. Philippines Coast Guard removed the barrier. Only the presence of international journalists with the Philippines stayed a violent Chinese reaction. Again, this is just ridiculous. Like, when has China ever reacted violently? Like, it's America that is at war for every year of its existence, aside from like 6 years. Like, just how do you know this? This is just an inference that is not based on any prior data. Like, it's, again, propaganda. So this entire thing, the video, the article, it's all just propaganda here. Freedom of the seas has been a bedrock principle of American security for more than 200 years, but challenging this principle, Beijing is playing with fire. Okay, so, well, I'd love to see Russia and Chinese warships off the coast of New York City just to see how America reacts. Just ridiculous propaganda. Anyways, that is our video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. We are being suppressed in the algorithm, and so any help you can give us is helpful. And thumbs up on both YouTube and Rumble. We are pivoting more towards Rumble. They are more of a free speech platform than YouTube from everything we could see. Please subscribe to our channel on both YouTube and Rumble. We are putting more and more content out there. I'm getting better and better at this. I'm enjoying it quite a bit as well. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, critiques, please leave them in the comment box below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.